It's hard to manage time and not get distracted when practicing to draw, or practicing anything for that matter. Getting sidetracked and procrastinating is probably the problem that I hear most of my students complain about. So what if there was a method used by millions of people to promote sustained concentration and allow you to study more effectively than anyone else? There is. It's the tomato method, or Pomodoro in Italian. And I'll show you how it works in this week's episode of YouTube Art School. Quickly. Let's get to class. Alright, class is in session. Pay attention. So, the secret to having good time management is to think in tomatoes rather than hours. What, bro? Obviously, that sounds a little dumb, but the Pomodoro method is one of the most popular time management techniques around, so of course, I had to try it. And in my constant quest to be more productive, it kind of became a part of my usual workflow because I really liked it. And I think you'll do too, especially if you're like most and have never really, bothered to use a time management technique to study. It's kind of a game changer. So who is this for? It might be for you if you find little distractions constantly derail your art studies, or any studies for that matter. Distractions like phone notifications, YouTube videos like shorts, mobile games, that kind of stuff. Or if you often study to the point where you feel like your brain just can't take in any more information. Or if you have lots of open-ended work that could take unlimited amounts of time, like different art topics to study, different exercises or art assignments that you need to do. Also, if you are overly optimistic when it comes to just how much you can get done in a certain time frame. And if you enjoyed gamified goal setting, like turning studies into a mini game basically, because that's what this tries to achieve. And so let's just get right into it. The Pomodoro method is this. Step 1, you'll pick a task. So let's say learning the anatomy of the torso, for example. Step 2, you'll set a 25-minute timer using your phone, Alexa maybe, or a kitchen timer. It's got to be a physical timer. Now, step 3, you'll work on your task until the time is up. Step 4, you take a 5-minute break. And then step 5, every 4 Pomodoros, you take a longer break, like a 20 to 30-minute break. So your first question is probably, what the heck is a Pomodoro? Well, it's a 25-minute study session followed by a 5-minute break. And I love this technique because it's perfect if you procrastinate a lot. And I tend to a lot. It's kind of a problem. Every Pomodoro, aka every time I complete a 25-minute work session followed by a 5-minute break, I'll draw a little tomato on a sketch pad. And once I reach 4 of them, I take a longer break and I start a new line, usually working on something different. I used a variant of that technique a lot when I was building my art program some years ago, and I really don't think I could have done it without. It was a huge mental challenge that lasted over 2 years, so I really needed a system to make it happen, and this worked wonders. Of course, though, what to study in the context of art and how to study it properly beyond just your time management is just as important, if not more. And well, good news is I can help with that if you're looking for the structure and depth that's kind of missing on YouTube. Check out the link in the description below for all the details about my complete art education program that I was just referring to. You can grab it at a huge discount until the end of the month because the summer sale is live, so don't miss out while it's much cheaper than usual. Join the other 23,000 students already learning art with the Art School program. I guarantee you'll be glad you did. And now back to tomatoes. What's really cool with the Pomodoro technique that I haven't really mentioned yet is that you can adapt it to whatever works best for you. So, like if you prefer shorter 15-minute sessions instead of 25, or longer 45-minute sessions maybe, whatever, just do that. I'll just say that shorter sessions are scientifically shown to work best, but it's that structure of study time plus forced breaks that makes this so effective. And you'll find a lot of really solid science to back this up. Now, the 25-minute work sprints are the core of the method, but a good Pomodoro practice also includes 5 rules that make it work significantly better in my experience, so let's quickly go over those. Break down complex projects. So if you're planning a task that will likely require more than 4 Pomodoros, it's just too big, and so that won't work. Instead, you should divide it into smaller, more actionable steps. Sticking to this rule will help ensure that you make clear progress on your project, which brings me to the second rule: write down everything. So whatever you're about to start, write it down with the estimated number of Pomodoros that it should take, again, up to 4. And then whenever you complete a Pomodoro, mark it down next to that task. It's an important physical mark that you achieved something and now you're ready to move on to the next task or the next portion of a bigger task. Like I said, that physical action of writing down what you've completed is super important. Now, the third rule then is that small tasks go together. Any tasks that will take less than one Pomodoro should be combined with other simple tasks. For example, like reply to emails or gather a few anatomy references and write down your to-do list could all go together in one session. Then the fourth rule, once a Pomodoro is set, it must ring. The Pomodoro is supposed to be this unit of time that you cannot break. It's especially not to check new emails, notifications, another short on YouTube, etc. No cheating, otherwise it just doesn't work. When you don't cheat though, this works insanely well. That unit of time kind of needs to be sacred, like you cannot break it. And then finally, get away from screens during your breaks. Not all breaks are created equal. So if your Pomodoro work sessions happen on your computer like it does most of the time for me, don't just switch over to like X or Instagram when the timer goes off. Give your eyes and brain a break from the screens. So that means your phone too. Stand up, move around, go stretch or something, go outside, grab a snack, make coffee, or watch your neighbors fighting out the window. Whatever you do, your breaks will be much more mentally refreshing if you get away from the screen and really disconnect from what you were doing. And then if you just happen to get distracted during one of your Pomodoro sessions, you have to take your 5-minute break and start the Pomodoro all over again. And maybe something extra that you can do. The author of the book on the method recommends that you track interruptions, internal or external, as they occur and reflect on how to avoid them in your next session. It's usually uncomfortable to stare down a big task or a project, one you may not know how to start or just how long it's going to take. It feels overwhelming, and suddenly everything else looks kind of more appealing. Checking emails, scrolling through social media. We start procrastinating without realizing it because we're faced with a problem that we don't want to deal with. Luckily, there's an effective way to break out this avoidance cycle. Just shrink whatever you're putting off down to a tiny, non-intimidating first step. For example, instead of sitting down to study the whole anatomy of the body, well, sit down to study just a few muscles, like the shoulder only. And if that still sounds like something that you'd rather not do right now, or ever, even though you really want to get better at anatomy, well, try learning a single muscle, just one. Doing something small for a short period is always going to be easier to face than taking on a big project all at once. So if a 30-minute Pomodoro seems too long at first, just make it 15 minutes only, maybe. Make it as easy to start as possible. And then, over time, maybe you can make your sessions longer as you get used to working this way, aka working with a timer. The Pomodoro method works so well because it gets you to break down your projects or goals into manageable tasks that only take 25 minutes each. This approach keeps you motivated and focused on the next thing that you should do, rather than just being overwhelmed by huge tasks that you gotta do. And well, the timer helps put you into a zone of focus that can't be interrupted. Otherwise, you have to start over again. It's a super easy method to adopt, and there's a reason millions of people are using it. It just works. It doesn't always apply, but whenever there's something that your brain just really has a hard time getting into, like a big topic you gotta study, you should give it a shot. And well, if you made it this far, congratulations, you just won free brushes. So if you haven't already, you can get my custom brush pack full of my favorites, including the line art brush that I use for the drawing in the background, with the link in the video description. So then, start counting in tomatoes and see how more productive and focused you can get. Do it, bro.